Brock Purdy, right? Is Brock Purdy, I'm trying to, because I don't even want to use the same word everybody's been using. And everybody's just throwing around the E word nowadays.
The E
and I'm
word.
careful with the E word.
Elite?
Yeah. Everybody throws around the E word crazy nowadays. Because, okay, so this is what I wanted to start with.
Okay.
This is what I really want to start with the whole curious case of Brock Purdy, a.k.a. Mr. Relevant, a.k.a. turn Mr. Relevant, right? Is the situation is he is in probably the most unique situation I've seen for a starting quarterback.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe in my life. Because, I think I will say he probably is the most unique situation. I could be wrong. Check me in the comments if there's this crazy situation I forgot about. But look, right. So we never saw Brock Purdy coming. I mean, let's just go back in the timeline.
Nobody predicted this. If you did, you're lying.
Yeah, let's just shoot back in the timeline here. Maybe his family, but mine is them. It's like the family can claim it. Everyone else, it's like, yeah, absolutely not. So we're shooting back here with Jimmy G in the frame in the beginning. It's like, we thought, okay, they were committed to Jimmy G at first, and we didn't even see necessarily Trey coming. And then it starts to be, okay, we can see the relationship starting to fall apart. Shanny and Jimmy, you see the writing on the wall. It's not going to work. Oh, well, here comes Trey Lance, the new generational, must have. But there was, he's viewed as a risk and yada yada. And what was crazy is at the time, and I remember we were very rigid on it, at least myself, is I was like, no, it's got the guy he's got to want is Mac Jones, because I felt that that's who I thought, random side note, but that's who I thought he wanted to operate his offense, whatever. So I didn't think that Shanahan was going to be the one to take a shot on Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Knowing how raw, again, with the talent he had, but it was raw. So, and you knew, truthfully, everyone kind of knew in the back of their mind, potentially a volatile situation. If this goes wrong, again, like you said, in a lot of situations, it could go really wrong, and it would have gone really wrong. If not, for the 7th round, I mean, basically almost undrafted from Iowa State. And this is just, truthfully, I mean, it's already like a movie script to begin with. Everybody knows this. I mean, at this point, it's actually hilarious how much that it really does feel like a movie script out there. The way he's built and everything too. He's just Purdy looks like an underdog, but that's why this is so funny. Is we've turned a corner where I truly believe. I mean, he's operating the offense at such an elite level, but this is what brings it back to my thing. Is it is a unique situation in the sense of most quarterbacks that come in and play well, right? If you were playing at Brock Purdy's level when you come in playing at a rookie level, you normally don't have really much else around you. Like, the O-line, you have maybe a couple guys, but you got to work that in, and you got to work in the receiving core, and you got to work in a good defensive group, especially good pass rushers, because you don't fall into the situation where you're on a rookie contract or they already have everything else set up. Well, Brock Purdy really is the most rare, unique example I can think of where the guy that they had no intentions of starting, at least, probably, more, I'm sure when they drafted him, it was much more in the sense of, give me, and I haven't heard where Brian Greasy was behind it. The quarterback's coach where Shanny told him, give me a guy, where they're talking about on the broadcast the other night, where they were saying like, give me a guy can kind of just under the radar, like probably they were thinking more in the sense of, a good backup. Like if I ever need to really go to someone on short notice, something like that, someone's sick, something like someone's hurt for a week, I got him. Well, no, he's in the most unique situation ever. They have the receiving core, they have the O-line, they have the defense, and the 49ers are absolute juggernaut. That's what makes this, though, where it gets really interesting, is because they're probably still going to be in a very good position when it's time to pay him, because regardless, the 2-3 year window, it's not that big of a fall off where, yes, people are going to start getting older, but you're still going to have the main core and stuff. They're going to have to make the decision right when people are starting to get older, right? It's like, is Purdy the guy? Because he's going to probably want, I mean, sure, a lot of money. He's playing at a very high level. But I guess if you're Shanahan and you're John Lynch, it's probably a point of like, who really cares at this point? Because it's money on the table for these next few years. We look at it in a sense of, when we watch the Niners right now, the Niners are dominating people. I mean, the Niners looks like at the moment, probably Super Bowl favorites. I think that's pretty consensus right now. Again, you never know. Injuries happen. But I guess, and it seems like that's kind of just how the Niners have been approaching things to an extent, is it's just like, you know what, let's just stay competitive this year. We're going to force our hand to stay competitive this year. Do what we got to do. The CMC trade, I remember we were talking about when the CMC trade happened. Yeah. It was this could go very wrong. You know what? They tend to be very, very big risk takers. And I guess it turns out that maybe I'm proving myself even wrong, where it's like they just maybe don't overthink it over there. They're like, with Trey, it was like, you know what? Let's not overthink it. We think we like him a lot. But then it went terribly wrong. I don't know. Like I said, though, do you normally have a guy like this? But then it brings you to the debate of, is he, like what everyone talks about, is he playing like this because of the situation? But that's where, and then there's so much shit back and forth. Because again, we've seen Jimmy in this situation. We've seen Trey in the situation. It's like, yeah, you can play well in the situation, but to be honest with you, 100%, Purdy is playing much better than they were in the sense of he's just so on time. When you're watching Purdy at this point, it's like, yeah, you're watching a veteran. Like he's very on his checks. He's checking everything at the line. He's getting the ball at perfect timing on every route. It's not like you're watching a lot of young quarterbacks where, it's like the ball's behind the receiver. Like he is very, very like in that offense, and it looks like he's been running it for a very long time. So, regardless, if you're a Niners fan, you fell into a fantastic situation. The only time at this point it's going to become an issue really is when it's time to pay him. But that's just what makes this. I guess the question I'm asking you is, because I think you have strong feelings about this, it's like, what's your take? Like, and to the audience, like, is he a product of the situation, or is the situation elevated by him? Because we know the situation is great regardless, but does he, is he the great elevator, or is this team truly just at its peak where he is playing it at the perfect time?
Okay. He is elevating the system. He's elevating what he is. And I can't remember who said this, but they basically said, like, if Kyle Shanahan could go out and play quarterback, like, this is what Brock Purdy is doing. And you know why Kyle doesn't get quarterbacks who are going to play out of structure, because his offense is so like rhythm and time based and making the right decisions. Like, don't turn the ball over. Like, that's a huge thing. So what I will say is, do I think Brock Purdy would have success outside of the 49ers team? Probably not. Like, he could be a backup, but I don't think he's starting on another team. I think the Niners are so elite that it's like, no, this is not to discredit Brock Purdy. I think where he's limited is like natural talent. Like, I think he's one of those guys who's so cerebral that like he will excel because he's just so far ahead, and like he's so instinctual. But I think he makes the Niners elite, but I don't think he himself is elite.
I think here's my thing. I'm with you in the extent of where it's like as of right now. But if he can keep doing this, and here's what my thing I'm looking at this point is, if they can just he showed if you put an O-line around him, and you give him time, I do think he could start on any team that has a good O-line. I do agree though, if you put him into one of these situations where where some guys have a mobile guy where the O-line is not all the way built, he would completely shatter in those systems, because the way he plays, he needs an O-line. But the way he is getting the ball in time and everything, I will admit, he truly does look a lot more competent with the ball than a lot of quarterbacks that have been in the league, even him a lot longer at this point. So it's like, I'm starting to have to give him credit where it's due, where it's like, I was always very rigid on the train of like that, yeah, almost anybody can do it and look really good. But truthfully, the way he's looking right now, it really is, the way he looks right now, it does. It looks really good. But that's my thing is, I'm not all the way sold on how it will look in a couple years when he gets the bag. That's where it comes down to for me, is that's where it's going to get interesting. But regardless, let's talk about what's going on right now, because again, we're dealing with the right now. So he leads the league in adjusted net yards per pass attempt at 9.79. He leads the league in QBR at 83.7. Leads the league at QBR at 123.1. Or QB rate. Sorry, it's two different things. The QBR and then there's QB rate. No interceptions, 9 touchdowns, 1,271 yards. He's thrown it at a 72% clip, basically. I mean, I'll say the numbers are elite. And that's my point. It's like, I'm with you. It's like in a lot of other systems, yeah, certainly we're not like anything like this. But if you give him, he's proven it. Like, if you give him an O-line, and if anything, too, the defense is playing really well. But I think regardless, the Niners offense can do what they want, and they haven't even really had to get into like a shootout type situation. No. I think if you made the man, I believe that we could see Brock really go sling for like 350, 400 yards. It's just that he really has not been. It's like they haven't really had to.
I want to see him in an average situation.
We'll see it. We will see a time where he's got to shoot out or something like that. And I think if I can just see one of those or a couple of those from him, I think at that point it will be undeniable for me that, man, maybe regardless, he's playing at a special level. But I just need to see at this point. That's what I need to see from him.
Yeah, I don't want to hate on Brock Purdy, and I'm not at all. I don't know. Like, he's playing on another level right now. And I think what you said about paying him, I think that's really the kryptonite, right? Because it's like, let's say you're paying him, I mean, with the numbers he's putting up, what you have to pay him at least $45 million a year. Like,
Well, but side note, now that I'm thinking about this, right? Like, and I didn't think about it till just now. But you know what? I can also see Brock being the type of guy where, again, the type of situation he's in too, where it's kind of like mutual. Like, you know what? You really took a chance giving me this job, and like
Yeah.
we're working together for each other's success. How about I pull a Brady and like I'm willing to take a fat discount? Still good starter numbers, but like give me like 20 mil less than the guy who's leading, where it's like I'm willing to make this work so that you guys can still pay the guys that are willing to. And I could totally see him doing that
If they win a Super Bowl.
and being like, you know what? I agree that I'm a product of the system. Let's keep it going that way.
But here's my thing.
If that happens, then this could keep going for a long time.
Let's say they don't win the Super Bowl this year. Let's say they don't win it next year, okay? Let's say he's in his contract year in 2025 and they haven't won a Super Bowl. They've made deep runs. I'm not taking that pay cut. Because why am I getting paid the least and we're not winning at all?
No, that's why. No,
and I'm one of the best.
The pressure's on Shaney, because I'm sure, to be honest, they probably have discussed that internally. Like the pressure's really on to like make the the future potential dynasty. You get my point, not dynasty, but like really long term run of success with this man. It's got to start with us winning a ring and getting him on a team friendly deal.
I agree. I just think, like, in my opinion, like, what I was listening, I can't remember who was saying this, but it was like, you shouldn't cut teams' deals because it's like, unless you're Brady, like, here's my thing is like, Daniel Jones, in my opinion, is now worth $40 million a year. I mean, I know that O-line is atrocious, but at the end of the day, like, that's the quarterback market we're living in. And here's what I will say. Okay. The 49ers remind me of, a team I'm going to talk about later, the Lions. Like, the Lions remind me of the 49ers, where it was kind of like we talked about the McCaffrey trade, you know, and this is kind of like my own fault, is everyone I feel like for the last couple of years has been so analytical. Like, oh, no, you don't take this position. Like, you don't pay this position. But, bro, if they're the best player on the field, like, you have the best player on the field. Like, this is how I feel about the Lions. Like, they just got the best players. Like, it doesn't matter their position. They just have the best players. So with the 49ers, that is my worry about if you pay Brock Purdy, because they're already strapped for cash right now and they're not paying the quarterback. So if you pay the quarterback, are the weapons and line around him going to be good enough?
That's the whole thing about the Niners is going to be very interesting to watch. But also,
especially if they don't win a Super Bowl, because that is really what's going to be the deterrent for me if I'm Brock Purdy, if I'm taking less money. If I'm winning and you're building my legacy, maybe I take 10, 15 mil less. If we're not winning Super Bowls and I don't have a ring and I'm getting paid $1 million to run one of the best teams in the NFL, I don't know if I can do it. And like, my thing is, at that point where he gets paid, because my thing is Ayuk needs a contract and they just paid Bosa. So is Debo out the door? Is Trent Williams still playing? Is fucking George Kittle still playing? Like, there's a lot out there. Like, those are very key players.
And honestly, we go back in time, a little time travel here for a sec. Again, with the Patriots, same concept. When they got Brady they got that ring right away where it was like, hey, look, we can do this again. We can do this again. And to your point, if the Niners don't do that, completely different. You can't guarantee nothing if you ever already got to the top of the mountain.
No. But yeah, no, I think Brock Purdy, I mean, just to kind of, unless you have anything else, like.
No, I think we hit all the bases I want to touch on.
All I want to say is, like, it has taken me a while to come around on Purdy, and it has never been like the hatred of him or like that I didn't like him. My thing is, like, all these people calling him elite when, like, don't get me wrong, like, I think he makes the system that he's in elite, but I don't think he is elite. You know, like,
no,
any other situation, like, let's throw fucking Brock Purdy on. Shit, even the fucking Vikings. Is he doing half of what he's doing, even with Jay Jettas? I don't know.
Interesting situation.
You have a mid-O line, no run game. Like, I don't know. I really think CMC took them over the top.
No, absolutely. And that's the main thing. So that's why, if anything, we'll have to let this one marinate, and we're going to come back to, we'll definitely come back to this discussion once he gets paid.